Okay, so can you please share your screen?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so how comfortable you are with Java 8?
Yeah, I have worked on it. So I have worked on its various features like Lambda expression, stream API, optional, then datetime API, functional interface. So yeah, so these are the things I am aware of.
Okay, can you please copy the code from the chat and paste it here?
Yeah, let me create a new project. Then let me create a class. Let me copy it now.
Okay, so we have here interface A and interface B, alright, and they both have the methods. Now you have a class which implements both interface A and B. Okay, so now suppose in the main class I want to print the interface A method and interface B method. So how can you achieve that? Can you add at line 18?
Okay. So basically, we need to fix this. Okay. And what is expectation here? So we have to print, I mean, this one from interface A or interface B.
Let's say both I want to print. So how can I do that? Is it possible?
Uh, yeah, I think we can, yes, we can do this. So basically, this is the diamond problem. Okay, so for this, usually what we do is we print it uh, like using super method we print it. Let me first of all rename this to test class because this is the name of the class we have here. So what we can do, uh, we can use super here. So like interface A dot super, and then we can say dot, it will say common method. So yeah, so this will be able to print this one. Okay, so this will have this value. And similarly, if we want to do from the interface B, in that case we can just use like this. So it will print this one.
Okay, can you please run it?
Yeah. So run as yes. So yeah. So this is how we can do it.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, now you go to line number 16. Okay, you have override annotation, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So suppose we remove this override or we comment it out. Okay, so what will happen? So how it will behave? Will it behave the same or you think any change will come? If comes, then why?
We want to remove this. Mm, in that case, so if uh, this notation, if we remove it from the common method, okay, then I think code will still run and even it will be able to compile also. So this is because the common method in my class is actually overriding the default methods from both interface A and B, even though we don't write it here. But uh, I think it's not recommended to not use this annotation, and uh, we should be writing that actually. But yeah, with functionality, I don't think it will make any change.
Okay, can you do that and see?
Uh, yeah. So let's say if I comment it out, then I have saved it, and then if I'm trying to run it, so yeah, so there is no change.
Okay. Okay, so now what if I make the interface A method as abstract?
So you want me to make this interface, so this method as abstract?
Yes. So what will happen?
Uh, if we make it as abstract, in that case, there will not be any kind of ambiguity. So since it is abstract, so anyway we have to define anyway we have to define its implementation inside the implementing class, which is my class. So uh, here we will have to write its implementation. So sys out here will have to do, and then so now here whatever the implementation.
So how about the interface B?
Uh, if we want to still print this one, so in that case we can keep this thing as it is, and only this one we will have to remove.
Okay, fine. Okay, so what are default methods in interfaces? and why were they introduced in Java 8?
Yeah, in Java, interfaces normally could only contain abstract methods, and any class implementing the interface is required to provide the implementation for all methods. However, Java 8 introduced default methods. So this allows interfaces to have methods with implementations. So this change was made to provide backward compatibility basically. So whenever we are adding new methods to interfaces without breaking existing code, that implements those interfaces. So the default method allows developers to add functionality to interfaces without forcing all existing classes to implement the method. So this basically helps in like evolving APIs without affecting existing implementations. So we can just in the interface we can just say default let's say void something abc, and there we can give the method implementation there. So yeah, so that is the use of default method in interfaces.
Okay, what is the difference between optional, of nullable, and optional empty?
Optional of nullable, like it creates an optional containing the values if it's not null, or an empty optional if the value is null. So this is useful for the cases where the value might be null. So we can just simply declare optional dot off null level and null. So yeah, so now coming to optional dot empty, so that creates an empty optional. So that represents the absence of the value. If so, it's the way of explicitly defining that no values is present. So in that case, we are going to use this empty option dot empty. So yeah, so this is the difference between these two.
Okay, so what is the use of Stream API and how it is different from the traditional ways of loops?
So streams are basically more flexible, and this is more concise code is there. So we don't have to write multiple lines of code within a single line. We can do that. So traditional loops, we had to uh, like write in the multiple lines or something, but that is not the case here. So this allows us to chain multiple operations together, such as filtering or any mapping is there, and suppose sorting is there, right? So we can apply all the operations in one go in one line, we can say. So this becomes very much handy, but that cannot be done in case of uh, older version than the Java 8, like than Java 7 or any previous versions. So there we had to write multiple lines of code to achieve all this. Suppose if you want to uh, do some filtering, some mapping and sorting on some data, so we cannot to do that in one go. But here in Java 8, so we can do that in a kind of in very concise way.
Okay, okay. So can you write a simple code for this? Like how it is performing the multiple things or multiple operations in one go, as you said.
Yeah, so I can write that. So let me create a new class in this case. So any test class 1, and let's say I have the any list of numbers. So let's say as list, and let's say 1 2 3 4. Okay, so let me say this as numbers, and then let's say we want to I mean filter it. So numbers dot stream, then dot. So we can apply multiple things here, like we have a filter and we have map, we have for each, so all that we can apply. So let's say we are applying a filter here. Okay, so out of these numbers, let's say we only want to have the even number out of it, for example. So we can write the lambda expression here. So and as a input, then each we do percentage 2, and then if it is equal to 0. Okay, dot collect, and then we can say collectors collectors dot to list. Okay, so sorry. So this will give me only even numbers. So we can see here like um, we can perform multiple things here, but same thing if we are going to do with older versions of Java. So this is not possible to do it in the same line, or with so number of or this kind of concise code is not possible. So let me run it. So we have 2 and 4. So yeah, so this is the reason.
Okay, have you worked on Predicate?
Predicate, yeah, like this is an interface and it represents a boolean valued function. So it is used for conditions or test, and is often used for filtering operations. uh, if we have to just say like the result as a boolean, in that case we use predicate.
Okay, can you write the sample code for that?
Yeah, so we can let's say um, here also let's say I want to do the like we have any number and we just want to test whether that is even or not. So uh, we can use predicate in that case. So for example, if we have uh, same n and we are using as lambda expression for that, n percentage 2 equal to 0. So if it is even, so we can gather it to predicate. Okay, predicate of this is integer, right? Is even. Okay, so we can import this predicate. So now we can just test it whether like any number which is being passed to that is even or odd. I mean even or not even. Okay, so we can do dot like I think some test method is there. So yeah, so this is a test method. So here we can pass, let's say 4, and we can see whether this is uh, even or not. So
Okay, so can you run that?
yeah, so we can just run it. So I think this is the
No, this is the output of the previous program. Can you comment that out?
yeah. Uh, so okay, it should. Okay, we have to print it. Yeah, so we have to print it. Then only we can. Then only it will say it is like true or false. Okay. I think somewhere extra braces I have. Okay, let me copy this. Yeah, so this is true, and if we pass, let's say 3, then this is false. So yeah, this is how we can use predicate.
Okay. Do you know the difference between map and flat map?
Yeah, like both map and flat map are transformation operation, we can say, which is applied on top of streams API, but they behave differently when working with nested structures. So map function is used to transform each element of the stream into another form. So it produces a stream of transformed values, but each element in the stream remains a single object. So flat map function is used when we have a stream of collections, stream of streams we have suppose, and we want to kind of flatten them to single stream. Okay, so in that case we use this flat map.
Okay, can you explain the difference between hash map, linked hash map, and tree map? Give me the difference between all these three. And also let me know when we should use which one.
Okay, so hash map, linked hash map, and tree map, right?
Yes.
When we talk about hash map, linked hash map, and tree map, like all three are implementation of the map interface in Java, but they are like kind of different in behaviors and its use cases. So let me go with the hash map first. So hash map is basically backed by the hash table. So it does not maintain any order of the keys. Okay. So the way it works is that it uses the hash code of the key to determine the where the key value pair should go internally. Okay. So basically this makes hash map like kind of very much efficient. So it has some operations like get, put and remove, because give like O of 1, uh, and it can be degrade to O of n in worst case due to hash collision. Okay. Then coming to linked hash map. So a linked hash map extends hash map, but it also maintains a doubly linked list of the entries. So this linked list allows it to maintain the insertion order of the keys. So when we iterate over the keys, they will appear in the same order in which we had inserted them. So it also provides an option for access order in iteration. Like if you use it as an URL cache, you can configure it to reorder entries based on access. Okay. Then coming to tree map. So tree map, its underlying structure is red black tree basically. So it is self-balancing binary search tree. So the key are always sorted in their natural order, or by a comparator that you provide during the construction of the map, of the tree map. Okay. So because of its sorting, the performance is little bit slower compared to hash map or linked hash map. So like operations like in this case put, get, so all that takes O of login. So because the time of the uh, tree structure. So coming to like when we should choose which one. So we should go for hash map when the order is not important. So the most common per, common scenario for this is like we just want the fast lookups. So in that case we should go for hash map. Linked hash map is when the insertion order of the key is important. So in that case we can go for the linked hash map. Okay. Now tree map when we need the sorted data. So tree map we should use when we need the sorted data. For example, if we are working on the scenario like generating reports where data need to be displayed in sorted manner. So it's also useful. So yeah,
Okay, so what is volatile keyword?
volatile keyword in Java is something we use when dealing with multi-threading scenarios. So it's basically a modifier you can apply it to variable to ensure visibility of charges across threads. So when we declare the variable as volatile, it means visible. So it means any changes made to the variable by one thread are immediately visible to another thread. Okay, so normally without volatile thread, make cache a copy of the variable in their local memory like register or CPU cache. So this can lead to a situation where one thread modifies the variable but another thread keep using the old value because their cache copy has not been updated. We can use volatile when we have variable that's shared between multiple threads and threads are just reading or writing to it without performing any compound operations. So yeah, so this is the use of volatile keyword.
So you have worked on microservices, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why are you using microservices?
Um, Microservices we are using because they are kind of uh, more like a decoupled way of implementing the uh, logics or implementing the modules. So we are using microservices because they are using more modular and flexible approach for designing the application. So in case of monolithic architecture, so the entire application is kind of tightly coupled. So each service is dependent on each other, and uh, like the whole application is deployed kind of as a single unit. But in microservices, we break the application into smaller and independent services, and those independent services can be deployed I mean independently, and they can be scaled also, like horizontally. So for example, suppose we have any e-commerce application. So uh, let's say the product is there, the user management is there, the order processing is there. So all that can be splitted into different services or different modules, and they can be deployed separately, and those services will be communicating with each other internally. So that ensures if one service fails, then entire application does not go down. So only the specific service will be impacted. So that's the main advantage of it. So another reason is, we can say, scalability. So with microservices, we can scale only those services that have a high load. If the product catalog gets lots of traffic, I can scale just that service instead of scaling the entire application. But this is not possible in case of monolithic. So we have to, uh, I mean, give the resource for all of the entire application, right? So which ultimately cost us money, right? But this is not in case of microservices. Then apart from that, microservices also helps in better development practices. Like each module can be assigned to different developers. So while development also, like it is like it can be managed like in better way compared to the monolithic one. So yeah, so these are the main advantages of it. So that's the reason why we are using microservices.
Okay. Okay. What is service registry?
Service registry, we can say it is like a kind of phone directory where all the microservices register themselves so that they can be easily discovered and communicated with by each other. And in microservices, like since multiple services are running on different servers, right? And their IP addresses or ports may change dynamically, right? So because we will have the multiple instances of each module, there are the chances that the uh, one module has been scaled into multiple instances. So like that is kind of challenging. So how will one service will know like where another service is running? So here registry, service registry comes into picture. So each service, when it comes up, so it registers its details like IP address and port with the service registry. So once any call is made by the client, maybe through the API gateway, so that API gateway usually tries to communicate with service registry. So it does not need to know the exact IP address. Instead, the dynamic address is provided by the service registry to the API gateway. So so instead of hard coding endpoints, we query the service registry to discover the address of the services they need to communicate with. So this is like called its service discovery. So there are various tools like Eureka and few more are there, so that we can use for this purpose. So yeah.
Okay, so why we are using Spring Boot instead of Spring Framework?
We are using Spring Boot instead of traditional Spring framework because it simplifies the entire development process and reduces a lot of boilerplate code. So, in Spring framework, setting up a project requires lots of manual configuration and all. So we have to create XML files, set up dependencies, and manage beans ourselves, which makes the development process time consuming and kind of complex. However, in Spring Boot builds on top of a Spring framework and provides like uh, many of the things out of the box, so we don't have to um, manually do the things, and configuration that is done already. It so uh, so we can focus more on writing business logic rather than worrying about like infrastructure and configuration. Also, we have an embedded server in Spring Boot like Tomcat, Jetty, etc. So we can set that we don't have to separately embed any server. And then we have Spring Boot starter dependencies. So Spring Boot provides predefined starter dependencies like Spring Boot starter web, then Spring Boot data JPA. So these starter uh, like dependencies, it has all the required libraries, so we don't have to manage individual dependencies in POM XML in case of Maven. So yeah, and also we have some production ready features like Spring Actuator is there, right? So using that we can do the monitoring, health checks and all. So yeah, so these are the benefits we have.
Okay, so have you worked on SSL certificate?
SSL certificate, yes, yes, I have worked on it.
Okay, what is it and how do you configure it in Spring Boot?
SSL certificate is a digital certificate, we can say, that provides a secure encrypted connection between the clients and server. So it ensures that the data transmitted between them is private and secure. So basically, it has a key store. I mean, usually we give key store and trust store. So key store password will be there and trust store password will be there. And there can be one-way SSL and there can be two-way SSL also. So when SSL certificate is installed on a server, so basically it activates the HTTP protocol, which is a secure version of HTTP. So because of this, uh, so how we do that configuration is first of all we need to generate a self-signed certificate will be there. So like some tools are there. So using that we can generate the SSL certificate first, and then basically normally usually we ask that certificate from the client itself, so they provide that, and then we generate a key store. So if we don't have already have SSL certificate, so we can generate Java key store files that contains both public and private keys using key tool utility, and then we configure the Spring Boot to use key store. So in the properties file we can give like SSL server, SSL key store password and key store, so all that properties we can give there. And then we have to enable the HTTPS if we want to use that. So by default Spring Boot listens on 8080 HTTP traffic. So to enable HTTPS we can change the port to I mean something different, like think 8443. So that way we can make it like secure, and then we can uh, once the we can restart the server, then I think we are good to go after that. So yeah.
Okay, do you have any idea about XML based REST APIs?
XML based recipe, yeah, I have worked on it once. So in that uh, we we usually use in the model classes, we can annotate with XML root element and XML element, those annotations we use. And then in produces and consumes attribute we add XML, and then in the accepts we can give application XML, so instead of JSON. So yeah, I have done it like that way.
So, what changes will be there compared to, let's say, you have application JSON, you have, right? And you have application XML. Okay. So, what differences will be there, assuming you have the controller class? So, in the controller class, what differences will be there?
In controller class, like compared to JSON and XML, right? Yes. Yeah, so in controller class, like suppose we have any get mapping or something, so there we have produces. So in produces, we write media type application XML. So that is the major thing, and instead of JSON. So if it is JSON, we put produces media type JSON, and in case of XML, we say media type application XML. So that is the difference.
Okay. Okay. So, what is the difference between controller and REST controller?
Yeah, um, controller annotation is a standard Spring MVC annotation used to define a controller that handles HTTP request, and it returns the views. So we return the model view in that. So they have the JSP and all. So it typically uses a MVC based application, right? So we use add controller annotation only for that. Okay, so and in case of a REST controller, so that is a combination of controller, add controller, and add response body. So we don't have to write explicitly at response body. So that handles this at REST controller. So it is specifically designed for building RESTful APIs. So methods in a class annotation with REST controller directly return response body in JSON, XML, or other formats. So Spring Boot automatically serializes the response to JSON or XML based on the request accept header. So yeah, so this is the difference between these two.
Okay. Okay. Can you please copy the question from the chat?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Now, can you find the second highest salary from this table? Let's say this is the employee table. So, can you find the second highest salary?
Yeah. So I can use the limit. So select distinct salary from employee order by salary. Top will be the highest one, and when we say limit 1, so uh, sorry, limit 1 and offset 1, so it will give us the second highest. So we can say limit 1 offset 1. So yeah, this will give us the second highest salary.
Okay. Will it work for Oracle?
uh, MySQL it will work, but Oracle, maybe we can do it in different way. So we can find the max salary and then we can get the previous one. So we, yeah, so it may, so this offset may not work in Oracle. So for that we can use uh, select max of salary from employee. So this will give us the maximum salary, let's say 80k. Then we have to get the second highest except this. So we can say select max of salary as second high salary from employee where salary less than this. So yeah, so we can do something like this. Maybe this one we can put in the bracket. So yeah, this will work in Oracle as well. Okay, okay, fine.